Maybe like you, I used to think that Golden Visa applicants were millionaires. Boy, was I wrong. Today, I sit down with Sam, whose company has dealt with thousands of Golden Visas, to talk about what the average Golden Visa applicant actually looks like. Well, Sam, this video is an exciting one for me because a few weeks back, I sent you a message out of curiosity, and I wanted to know kind of the demographic of Golden Visa clients that you were seeing. And you gave me a shocking answer. So I had assumed like people were like multimillionaires that were getting the Golden Visa. But what's the truth?
They are not multimillionaires, is the truth.
Okay.
Yes, the majority of our clients, they're not near the multimillionaire category.
Okay.
They're not. A lot of this depends, obviously, with any investments, how these investments are set up. People have money in property, they might have money in Bitcoin, they might have money in pensions, so people have money everywhere. But in terms of the average client we get, are they worth 3 million plus? No. Are they worth $1 million plus? Some of them might be with the pensions and property, but they're not anywhere near, I think, what you thought they would be.
No, exactly. Like I literally thought that people would be like at least 3 to 5 million.
No.
And when you're saying that they're under $1 million, it's very surprising.
It's because when you look at the Golden Visa product and you look at what we offer or what's out there, as long as you have enough money to park some money somewhere for a period of time.
Right.
It's no different. For example, people might have money sat in their bank account or in stocks and shares and they're getting a return. It's similar to that. You park your money for 5 years. Now, with some people, we talk about being millionaires, some people use IRAs and pensions, which is an option people can use.
Yeah, explain that.
It's not always in everyone's benefit to do it, and it's very, very complicated. We actually have a specialist advisor who can talk people through potentially releasing money from the IRA to do that. And we have done it on a number of occasions. So people essentially would invest the money that's in the IRA, can still stay within the IRA, but in some situations it really isn't applicable. But in a lot of situations it is. Not only with the IRA, you're talking about things such as Bitcoin. We do a lot of people invested within Bitcoin as well. I know, and I'm not saying obviously people that have money in Bitcoin, people have a lot of money, but people that have gone to Bitcoin, made a bit of money, and they've used the money from their Bitcoin to do it as well. So we've had people as well that have property and they've sold their property in order to do this, because the importance to them of being able to get a passport in the EU and to be able to get the benefits of that after 5 years, it's worth them doing it. But a lot of the time I say to people very much, it's like having money in a pension. Particular people don't need their money, they've got some money saved up wherever that may be. And you don't need it for a period of time. Well, the idea of actually having it invested in something, even if you took the Golden Visa out of it, if you invest somewhere where you've got a guaranteed return that you're paid up front, say of 4% per year for that 5 years, it's not really a bad investment. It's a safe place to put your money, but you're getting the added mobility benefit in terms of the Golden Visa for that investment.
It's interesting you say that, because the application that I see, certainly from the emails that Kalie and I get about just moving to Portugal in general, because I think our channel is more known for the D7 and D8 visa, but people do write us about Golden Visas. And we get a lot of people who have like a really long runway. They have like 3 to 5 year runways before they're ready to move to Portugal. So then I started thinking like, what could potentially be the economic profile of these people moving that could potentially qualify for a Golden Visa? And then when I hear that it's people that don't need $1 million sitting in the bank or whatever, this could actually apply to a lot of our audience who has a 3 to 5 year runway. They're not ready to move yet, but they love going on holiday to Portugal, and they would be able to essentially park their money, like you're saying, while they're getting everything ready to go back in the States or Canada or the UK, and then they move once they actually have the residence permit.
100%. You're talking 1 week per year is the minimum stay requirement that they have to do during that period of time. So it's a holiday, isn't it? It's a holiday they have to do over that 5 year period. If you're not looking to move for 3 to 5 years or even 7 years to 10 years, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect for you, because as I say, a company like ourselves, we are first and foremost an investment company anyway. So when we look at what are the best investments out there for people, but of course, if you've got an investment with a fixed return over a 5 year period, then as I said before, it being sat in a bank somewhere earning that sort of interest rate, or maybe even less at the moment in some banks, or actually having the money invested somewhere that's going to give you that benefit, is absolutely perfect. And as you mentioned, the D7, unlike the D7 visa, you don't need to become tax resident. Obviously with the D7 visa, it's certainly more appropriate if people are looking to do that now and move to Portugal now. But if you're not, sit and park your money there. You don't need to have a fortune. I sort of reiterate that. We've had people looking to sell their houses because ultimately they sell their house, they get that investment and start the process now. So Okay,
well that was what I was going to ask next is like, how do people kind of play, I don't know, shell game of like moving money around? And like, do you find that once you get into a meeting with someone and you talk to them about their options, they're like, wait a second, I've got this money sitting over here in this other thing that if I had it liquid, then I could.
Absolutely. What we do is we try to be quite creative in terms of what options people have with regards to the golden visas. So we're trying to find, well, I mentioned Bitcoin and things like that before, and the IRAs for some people. It's trying to find new ways of doing this where, as I said before, people have money in all these different places. Some of it's liquid, some of it's not liquid, and you can't get to it. So we're trying to make everything as accessible and work out the best way to do it. So what we would do is, we'll sit down with someone, we'll talk about their situation and find out where they've got money, where it's held, and what we can potentially do with that, because quite often people would have a lot of money in a pension, for example, but they don't really see it as being anything they can have anytime soon. So they don't almost see it as forming part of their assets. But of course, if you could do something with an IRA and that became an option, why wouldn't you do it? I will keep reiterating, it's not for everyone. Some situations it wouldn't suit someone, but a lot it would. And Bitcoin, the same as that. Some people have invested a little bit of money in Bitcoin, made a bit of money out of it, now thinking, well, actually, what can I do with this money? But again, it's another option.
Okay, so looking at the demographic of people, you said like retirement accounts and whatnot. Are all the people coming to you retirement age? Like, are they 60, 65 plus, or what's kind of the core demographic that you're seeing?
It's difficult. I would say
it's evenly distributed.
It's evenly distributed. Okay. Normally people, I'd say between 40 and 60.
Okay.
You've got to remember with a golden visa again as well, when you talk about people's assets and how they're sort of structured. On one golden visa application, you can put your whole family. If you're thinking about an investment amount, amounts which you can do it for as little as 325,000, for example. If you're thinking of that investment amount, and you can then tag lots of people on it, actually becomes quite good value for the money that you're investing for the 325, because you can have 8 different people on it. So you can have, and when you go back to the
average of
the average, So we have people that have dependent parents on there. They will have obviously themselves on there, their spouses, their children. The list goes on. You can tag as many people as obviously legally that you can tag onto it, but then it becomes a very good investment itself. Plus you've invested money, as I say, for a certain period of time that you're going to get back. You're going to get that money back at the end of it. So you are, for all intents and purposes, just parking money somewhere, getting that return, and in return, you, and not just you, the whole family and everybody was on there, can then get a passport, which then in turn gives you the right to live, to work, to retire, to the education, healthcare, everything like that of Portugal, which is fantastic in itself for that one investment amount.
I don't want to divert us too much, but what are the benefits of having a golden visa or having the right to access Europe via Portugal?
It's brilliant. I mean, obviously we're talking a lot about Portugal. The golden visa's benefits compared to any other type of visa you can get is quite simply that you don't have to become the tax resident in Portugal. You have that 1 week per year. So that gives it a massive advantage over every other option that's out there. So it's really, really strong from that point of view. And obviously it's an investment. You've got one investment amount. You can do the 325. You can have interest paid up front. It can all be fixed. It's just a very clean way of getting your citizenship and doing it via the golden visa program.
What about the lowest amount that someone would need to invest? I'm going to put like rabbit quotes around.
Okay. So the lowest amount we can do it for, and these options are not always available, so it depends, because like any investment company, we have different options come and go. Because to get fully subscribed, they would go.
Yes.
The lowest we have, and we've done, I think we still have it available, is 170,000.
Okay.
But that's not an investment as such.
Right.
So I just briefly described that there are a number of ways you can get the golden visas. I'm sure people are aware. You can do a 250,000 donation to the Portuguese government, 500,000 donation to the Portuguese government into arts. There's different ways of doing a donation. So they're obviously money you're going to lose. You then go down the investment routes, as we mentioned before. You've got the fund route, you've got a company that's already running route, but the minimum for that's 500,000. We can do it for less with interest paid up front, as I mentioned before. So they're all different ways of doing it, but we do have an option. The 170,000 option is a way of doing it through the investment route, where you can have an investment company that will invest the money essentially on your behalf. So you give over 170,000 in return. You're not going to get any return for that, but you're allowed to just pay 170,000, which is the lowest way of doing it. For some people that just have money sat there, it's not always a bad option for people, because then if you tag on 6-7 other people to that one application for that one amount of money, it actually represents very, very good value. And there's lots of just different ways of doing it, but if doing it as cheaply as you can is what people are looking for, then I'd say 170,000.
I personally wouldn't recommend someone with a low net worth just like erase 170,000 of their net worth.
No.
So that would be more for people that have higher net worths.
Completely right. It sounds a bit strange, but it does tend to be, they do it.
It's counterintuitive.
It is. It's exactly that. As you said, that's absolutely right. And when I look at the client base that we have, well, actually, that's worth me doing it for that amount of money. I've got that money just sat somewhere. It's not making a great return. I'll just do that. And in return, I've got the passport. But in reality, for the people with the lower net worths, the most popular option I would say would be the 399,000 option we have, or the 325. To just briefly explain, the 399,000 is where you're paid 101,000 interest up front, which is 4% per year. So you put your 399,000 in, get your 101,000, you've got the 500,000. So you've had to find 399,000, which is a lot of money. But then when you look at other ways you can get that with, I say, with pensions and with cryptocurrency or anything.
Or selling a property.
Or like selling a property. People have a second property and things like that. Then it represents really good value because you know, as long as you can leave that for 5 years, you're guaranteed that return. Your fixed rate is paid up front. So you know, after 5 years, you've got that 500,000. It's there, it's yours. So similar to a pension where people put money away for a pension, you just put money in a different type of investment. I've mentioned before, but if money is your issue there, you can do it for 325,000 by including a loan, which again, an option we have if people are looking to do it for even less. And that sometimes comes down to not necessarily how much their net worth is, but how much liquidity they have that actually is accessible to be able to do that. But yeah, selling a second property and things like that is a classic example because property, you know, again, depends where you are, but you know, 325,000, for example, is quite reasonable. Someone would have a property like that as a second property and then think, well, actually, I'm getting that 4% a year. I invest it now with a guaranteed return and I'll get at the end of that a passport and, you know, and be freely able to move throughout Europe.
Yeah, I mean, right now in the US and Canada and some of the hot markets, I mean, houses are now very expensive. So if someone got in 10, 15, 20 years ago on that house and they bought it at a modest price, what they can sell it for now, it's like right there, they probably have the amount of money needed to then park their investment for 5 years.
Yeah.
Right?
And sometimes even if you look at the returns you get on some of these investments, whether it's property, rental, when you take out all the various taxes, depending on the country you're living and everything else you have to pay, what you actually net as a return can quite often not actually be that high anyway. So a 4% fixed return actually kind of proves to be quite a good investment when there's nothing else to worry about that. That's just paid up front to you. You see your investment there. You've then got that guaranteed return. It just makes sense. And as I say, you don't need to be worth 5 million, for example, to be able to do that. And by all means, it's not saying it's accessible to everyone because some people won't have that amount of money. But it's not needing to have millions. You don't have to be that multimillionaire, as I keep saying.
Yeah. Well, okay, so speaking as investments carry risk. Like how risky are some of these investments?
They're not risky. We're an investment company first and foremost. We've been going around 27, 28 years. We don't recommend or look at anything that we haven't done a full due diligence on and made sure that it's a great investment. So when it comes to risk, the main thing with people doing this is they don't want the risk in a property. Any investment is paid up front. You will have the investment, it is actually paid up front. You've got the 500, for example, if you did a fund option, the 500,000 would be there. There's not any ongoing fees, anything like that. So there's no risk element to it. We do have some investments, I don't want to go off the cases. We have some within hospitality where actually as part of that investment, they will even include property as a security as well. When you go the company route, when you invest into an existing company, which is one way of doing it, there are hospitality companies out there throughout Portugal, mainly down in Albufeira, down the Algarve. Where essentially, because it's part of a complex which is already there will be apartments within that complex and they will actually put that security against your investment as well.
So it's collateral.
So it just is collateral. If it worries you that what happens if this happened, which I completely understand, it's always people's biggest worry. But in terms of the risk, there isn't any. We've done all the due diligence. We've had solicitors as well, lawyers look over the options that we have. So people can do it with full confidence of what they're going to get. It's just whether it fits their particular circumstance. As I say, sometimes D7 visas are good for some people looking to do it maybe for less money, but then sometimes when you factor in everything that you need to prove doing the D7 and your ongoing commitment for the D7, it might be less money initially, but actually when you start factoring all that in on an ongoing basis over 5 years and you've got this amount of money coming in, you've got to have this amount of money in the bank and the restrictions. So actually, when you look at the golden visa, it's actually a very, very good option for you.
Well, there you have it. Astonishingly, you don't have to be a millionaire to get a golden visa here in Portugal. If you'd like to know more information about the golden visas that Sam's company offers, reach out to us and also check his Calendly link in the description section below. All right, now let's get moving. Bye.